All right, guys, welcome back to the Colour Plane podcast. Jess, good to be here.
Great to be here.
Tommy, 2 times in a week.
Yeah, second time. It's great to be back on the podcast with you boys on the Colour Plane podcast. Happy to be back. Special episode today. Got one of my best friends in the building for the show. A man that sort of doesn't really need an introduction. He's done just about everything you can do in the football world, and it's been well decorated, and we're excited to have Scotty on the show. So welcome, Scotty.
Thanks, guys. Privileged to be on the show.
Scotty Pendlebury, that is.
What episode am I on here?
35,
6?
35?
Yeah, something like that.
No, the boys have been pumping them out.
36.
Yeah.
It's taken a while to get the invite then.
Yeah. Well, had to build up some stuff before we
Bit of equity in the game.
Reach
Former podcaster himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were talking about that before.
Yeah.
It's good fun, the podcast. You can just go wherever you want it to go, and pumped to be on.
Yeah,
Awesome.
No, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, Scott. We appreciate it. And obviously, your resume goes without saying. Captain in Collingwood for a long time, Norm Smith medalist, won a premiership. So, obviously everyone knows Scott Pendlebury, the footballer, and, that's pretty well covered by the media and everything. And so I think today we really want to focus on who Scott Pendlebury is outside of footy.
Let's do it.
So who is Scott Pendlebury outside of footy?
I'd like to think I'm the same sort of guy, behind closed doors or in the media eye. It's funny. A lot of people say that I'd probably live a pretty private lifestyle. I just think I sort of keep my friends pretty close, and I'm not looking for a massive circle of friends. I've got guys that I'm close with, and I think I'm a pretty authentic person. Family means everything to me, and I've been that way ever since I was young, and I'd like to think that I'm still that way now. And I've got a young family, 2 amazing kids, an amazing wife. Love what I do, and feel really grateful for the life I've had so far and what I'm continuing to try and build.
Awesome. And so your family, Scott, Alex, your wife, how long have you guys been?
Yeah, we've been together now. We're both not good at this. But we've been married. I think someone gave us a cushion as a gift with like the wedding date on it. So we sort of keep that relevant in the house so we both can remember. I think it was 2015. So what's that? 8 years coming up this year. We've been married. So we've been together for ages. She's amazing support of mine with, what we do. She's an amazing mum now. We've had a lot of great adventures. We both love to travel in the off season, and before kids, those trips were pretty cool. And now with kids, they're a little bit different, but we've had a lot of fun. And we often say we're sort of like best friends in that we love just to hang out, enjoy each other's company. And now with 2 young kids as well, it's just been great to see her as a mum who's unreal and absolutely hitting it out of the park. And we've had a lot of fun so far, and I'm sure there's many more good times ahead of us.
I guess to sort of lift the lid on that a little bit, obviously Al and Scott, pretty low key, pretty laid back, as Scott just alluded to. And Al, if you're listening, sorry to bring this up, but in line with the pillar that they have, obviously, like I can't even remember sort of when it all started. There was a funny moment that just came to my mind. I think it was Scott's birthday a couple of years ago, and he received a block of kitchen knives. He wasn't too happy about it as a present.
Yeah. Well, that's when I knew that the kids took front and centre. I think I was 31 maybe or 32, and Al wrapped up a present. So we're not really massive on presents for each other. It's sort of like, we'll go out for dinner or whatever, and she's like, I got you a present. And I was thinking, this is pretty cool. Wonder what it will be. And I opened it as a block of kitchen knives. Had to sort of act a little bit excited. That's when I knew it was all about the kids. Because the kitchen knives, let's be honest, they weren't for me. They were probably more for her. So
Life had changed.
Life had changed a little bit. So it's all about the kids these days. But very, very enjoyable.
Of which Jax, is he entering primary school now?
Yeah, so he's started primary school. So he's week 7 or 8 now. So it's a big change. Thrust in the deep end from kindergarten, where it's all play-based and they can just do whatever they want. I remember about 2 weeks in, he's just like, Dad, I can't just go play whenever I want. They make me sit there and do English and stuff. And he wasn't a fan, whereas, 7 weeks later, he's coming home now counting to 20 in Chinese. And you just hear him running around the house counting in Chinese. It's like, what are you saying? But yeah, he's a funny little dude, and yeah, we recently got a tramp at home, and all his mates are into gymnastics, so you just constantly look over, he's just trying to do forward flips all the time, and yeah, and then I've got a little girl as well. She's ELC, so she's 3. She's an absolute menace. She's like a little tomboy because obviously she's got an older brother, so yeah, if you see her, she's got bruises all over her because she's just trying to keep up with her big brother. So yeah, between footy and home life, I'm pretty busy, but love it.
I've read an article. You quoted that you didn't know what to do without Jacks in your life. Like, and what does that sort of quote mean?
Yeah, it's probably more. I think I've before I had kids, like you just have. It's like you guys don't have kids, do you? So you got like time on your hands, and you just sort of like fill your day in. You know, it's like coffee and all this sort of stuff, or whatever you like, breakfast, lunch, work, podcast. Yeah. And I was there, and then now that I've got kids, I can't remember the time when you just used to have all that free time, and yeah, because now whenever I have free time, it's always, you know, I want to hang out with the kids. If I can get away from footy club or whatever it is, to me that time now is just always family time, and it's like I don't really remember ever thinking, oh, let's go do this or whatever it was. It's just, you know, like yesterday, take the kids down to Jump Central because we've got like 4 hours off in the middle of the day. It's just like what can go make them happy. And yeah, we literally spent 4 hours at Jump Central, which isn't overly exciting, but the kids loved it. They get home, they're spent. So yeah, I love the kids, and yeah, I sort of don't know what life was like. Probably wasn't as meaningful life really before I had kids. Now that I've got kids, I just probably should have done it earlier.
Do you find that having kids is, although maybe time-wise you're more time poor now, do you find that gets created more balance in your life?
Yeah, definitely's helped me switch off from footy, because when you sort of like footy can be just all-encompassing, like you can just get caught up in it, and I've definitely lived in that space. But yeah, with kids, you sort of like after a game, if they come down to the rooms, they don't know. Well, Jax does now, but initially they don't really know if you've won or lost. They don't care. They just want to see dad. They want to kick the footy. I remember, I think it was after Tommy's first game or whatever, like we went back out onto the MCG after it. Jared come up and we're kicking the footy with Jax after a game. I don't even know if we won or lost, but like that's a memory for me. And like it probably shows you that I don't even know what happened in the game, who we played, but I have the memory of kicking the footy on the MCG with Jax after the game.
That's awesome.
So it's just those type of things. And, you know, I might play, like this Saturday we play Port, whichever way that game goes, whatever happens, like after the game, like Jack's going to be pumped, Darcy to come in the rooms, have a kick. It's like then you get home and it's like then you got to wrangle him down for bed, all that sort of stuff. And it's like it's just, yeah, it takes your mind away. You've got more responsibilities than just being a footballer, and I really enjoy it.
Speaking to Tommy, he said actually on the previous episode that Tommy was on that athletes are sort of innately selfish, like sort of part of the parcel. I guess having kids, would you say it's like it's bigger than you, and perhaps it's like that first time you truly give yourself over to something bigger than you?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, when you don't have a family, you know, like a family yourself, I reckon you are, as Tommy said, as an athlete, you are selfish. It's the nature of the beast. It's how you become successful, I think, is you need to, you take more than you give because we've got 10, 12 years if we're lucky in the sport, and you've got to make the most of it. But yeah, as soon as you have a kid or kids or whatever it is, you just realise like all of a sudden it's like that's your world right there, and you'll do anything for them. And I remember as soon as we had Jax, like we played Hawthorn 6 days later, it's like I was in hospital for probably 3 or 4 of those days with Al. I didn't care if I slept or not. Like it was all about making sure they're okay. And the game of footy, I couldn't have cared if I played well or poor, and as long as Al and Jax were okay. And as soon as the game finished, I was straight back to hospital and spending time with them. And it sort of puts the game in. Like I love the game. Like I always have loved the game, but it just puts it into its place a little bit better for me now.
Was it always like that, or was there a transition period of getting to that point where you could switch off and, all right, I'm away from footy now. Like this is what matters. Did you find yourself dragging in and out of family and football at all?
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things you got to have kids to sort of understand it. But like, yeah, my immediate thoughts, like, I'd train as soon as I got off the track, especially after our first. It's like you text Al, like, how's Jax going? Has he slept well today? And how are you going? Are you tired? Like, your thoughts are probably more at home than here. And then as you get used to it and your head's not spinning because it's so, it's a it's a steep learning curve becoming a parent for the first time. You start to balance it out, and I feel like that balance is really good. Like when I'm here, I'm here. But when I'm home, I'm home. I'm not really crossing over too much anymore. And, as I said, like the kids are a bit older now. So, if I come in on a day off and do recovery, I'll bring Jax. I'm doing some footy coaching now, and I took him down Wednesday to do some footy coaching, and he just loved it. Like he was blowing the whistle at training, and he thought he was the man. Like, so it's cool to bring them along for the ride as well, and sharing that journey. Yeah.
I guess it probably would just allow you to enjoy your craft more and your profession as well. Like when you got more balance. The time that you spend.
Yeah, I think
here
that's the thing. Like sharing it with more people than just yourself. Like, obviously I've got, my mum and dad and my two brothers, and last year playing my 350th in Adelaide, like looking up, and I've got like Jax, Darcy, Alex, then her parents, my parents, my brother and sister-in-law, all like a big network of people that you share it with. It's just really cool. And, to have my kids in the song after the game, like stuff like that, they love it. So it's like I'm just sharing it more than just with myself. And I've really enjoyed it.
Speaking of the steep learning curves of becoming a parent, you've got 3 mid-20-ish guys here, probably wondering what the hell that's like.
Yeah, you guys will find out.
Is it not fair? I mean,
well, Tommy's told me before he's babysat, and it's like hard yards after 4 hours. So wait till that's full time.
4 years, forever. Is there any little? I mean, probably not a tips and tricks, but is there anything what's it like? I just don't know. What am I looking at?
It's one of those things, when I don't know, say if it's like one of those things you just can't explain to people. It's a way less scale with footy. When you talk to guys about how good finals are, but they've never played finals. It's like you
have to live it.
Yeah, you have to live it. You have to do it. You have to feel it. Like our whole team last year, after we played that final against Geelong, we lost by 6 points. Everyone walks back. They're like, "Oh my God, finals is different. It's amazing." It's like, I told you that.
Yeah.
But they don't know because they've never done it. You got to experience it. So, I don't know. Maybe you all want to go out now and experience it.
Footy finals or a kid?
You might be changing your
podcast.
Let's pivot a little bit. You touched on just being present, between family and football, and I think, obviously before your family, it was just football for you, and obviously having that trait and that quality of being able to be where your feet are and be fully engrossed in what you're doing, which was football, I think has held you in such good stead, and is why you've had such a decorated career and you are the athlete that you are. I'd love to touch on maybe your mentality a little bit as an athlete, and I guess what that looks like, the inner workings of Scott Pendlebury's mind.
It's a tough question because it's probably something I don't reflect on very often because I'm still in it. It's probably something I'll reflect on more post footy or whatever. But I feel like it goes back like way before footy. Basketball days when I was young coming through, and I was always sort of that kid at if it was a basketball camp and someone come and spoke, like I'd be really keen just to see what they said. And there was always other kids sitting at the back just like mucking around or whatever, but I don't know, it was a basketball camp in Sale and they brought in like an ex-Sale player, men's player, talking about what he does. I'd be like just so keen to hear about it. And I was really fortunate growing up in Sale. There was like a really good sports culture when I was coming through. I had older guys that were sort of really good role models. I had, unbelievable coaches for that period of time that I come through. So I was really like, looking back, it's like ridiculous some of the coaches I had in a small country town that happened to coach me, not, the age group above or below, and some of the players that were playing at the same time. So, sort of sports mad growing up, and it just lived with me. Like I remember like being like 13, playing basketball 4 nights a week, training 3 nights a week. Just any waking minute I had, I would just be either at the footy club or the basketball club, just playing sport and competing, and and then it just spirals because you start to love it. And then I loved like basketball, and then you just do whatever you can to be better. And whether that's from Sale, for me that was playing in the Friday night comp in Melbourne. So you travel after school 3 hours to play a game of basketball and travel home 3 hours. Like that's pretty keen and good of mum and dad when they're taking a 13, 14-year-old to do that. So, and then from there, I don't know, it's just spiraled, and Yeah. I think I've always loved to, like, I think with like basketball especially, like you spend a lot of time by yourself. Well, I did anyway, like shooting in empty gyms or training, like you would know, like, and I could, like when I was young, I had no qualms getting up at 5:30 and going shooting at the basketball stadium. Like I said, country town, so I had the keys to the basketball stadium. Like we lived 200 meters away, so I could do it whenever I wanted. But yeah, that sound of like an empty gym, the ball hitting the floor, like that to me was like heaven, just shooting for 2 hours before school or whatever it was. And so that's sort of like, I think I fell in love with the process of trying to be great. And I think that's never sort of left me.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, one thing that sort of just springs to mind for me is obviously you talking about like you just loved it, and I think that's probably one, as I've gotten to know you, is like your Jack, you know, obviously wanting to dive in and understand your mentality. I think it's just almost as simple as like you just love what you're doing and you almost love it more than anyone else. And not this to compare it to anyone else, but and I think with that comes like, I think there's a lot of people out there that can be really stubborn or set in their ways, and like they can see where they want to get to as like point A to point B. And like over my time getting to know you, like the amount of different things you've tried and tried your hand at. Like I think one thing that, you know, if people don't know Scott awfully well, he's probably like the most open guy to go and try something new, and if he thinks it's going to help him get better, or if he's just going to, you know, learn from it. Like I saw the other day, he went and did like a jiu-jitsu type deal, but like sometimes he'll go on like a crazy like long run, or like, there's obviously a lot of stories out there about you trying different stuff, but that's been one thing that's been eye-opening for me is your ability to just try your hand at anything.
Yeah, well, I just think there's so much good stuff out there and good people. Like, I'm not sure how long ago we did the speed project work. Yeah, I was 33 doing speed training for the first time. The slowest guy on the track you'll ever see. But I always just have the belief like it can't hurt, and if I don't like it, I can just subtract it from the program. But I don't know. One's if I do like it, and it does add a bit to my game. And it was funny. I did a session of with Max Viney, some jiu-jitsu stuff 2 weeks ago. And in the game, like I had on Friday night like 6 or 7 tackles, and there was like 3 where it was like some of the techniques he showed me like translated straight into the game, and I just couldn't believe how quickly I was able to get the Geelong guy to the ground, and how easy just from some of the stuff Max showed me. And it's just tiny little things that I just never knew that he was like, oh, if you do it this way and on this angle, this will make a big difference. And I did it, and I was like, oh my God, like I don't have to grapple as hard or like literally turn it into this big like muscle v muscle. It's more a technique thing. And so I'll probably go back and see Max.
And I guess like off the back of that, your ability to want to try and delve into a lot of different things, that, as I think you said at the start of the podcast, like you think you're a pretty similar person to at the football club in a way, or Scott Penny, the footballer, is like, he's the same guy. I think that's obviously bled into like your interests outside of footy, and obviously some of your business interests. Just launched a new app.
Yeah.
So like, dive into that.
Yeah. So we launched Temple app, which is it was a long time in the making. It was about 4 years in the making. More just spitballing the idea, and it took many different ways, and we got there in the end. So so it's like that app there is basically like a wellness app, holistic, like mobility, strength programs, yoga, Pilates, all like sort of a one-stop shop. And the thought process behind it was trying to get everyday people to move better through stuff that I've experienced in my time. And, because like for me here, if I hurt myself, I've got a physio that I can go see straight away, an osteo. For everyday people, if you hurt yourself, you don't have someone you can just, I'll just ring my physio and just get a checkup straight away. So on the platform, we got like who we think sort of the best of the best, physios, chiros, osteos, and they've got rehab programs for everyone on there. So if you hurt your shoulder, you can jump on, you can do all that stuff. And because I know for me, that's had such a big impact on my career, being able to come back or manage injuries or get back. And we sort of want to bring that to the public forum. And just learning, pretty naive when you start. You sort of think, got a great idea, someone will be able to just put this on an app for me, and away we go in sort of 6 weeks, 4 years later. But no, it's it's gone well, and it's it's sort of another part of trying to learn and get better and bring it to life. And it's really exciting when we launched a few weeks ago, just to see it on my phone and go through it, and everything that it's come, and the feedback we've had so far has been really positive. So enjoying that process and seeing where it could lead to.
Yeah.
Not to digress at all from the template, because we're going to dive into that in a minute, but I just want to quickly touch on your curiosity through, like, I can see the link from you being that kid at Sale and listening to, the local basketballers who's come in. You've come with like an open mind, and then for the jiu-jitsu or the speed project, when you're in the later stage of your career and technically you should know everything or have experienced everything, but there's a level of humbleness to you. I think you don't go, I've won a Norm Smith, like why the hell would I go to like a jiu-jitsu tackling thing? You're just open and curious, and I think that's something you've conducted throughout your whole life. And I think that's why you are where you are.
I've got I think I understand where I sit in, like, there's a lot of people out there that are very smart at what they do and very good, and like if anyone wanted to come kick a footy, I can teach you how to probably kick a footy. So I know how to do that pretty well, and handball pretty well, but like say like jiu-jitsu, like I know nothing. It's like I go in open-minded, or like in the business world, like through the app, like a couple of guys involved are like great mentors for me that are involved, so they can teach me so much, and I'm willing to learn. Like, just because I can play footy doesn't mean I know everything. Like I'm good at my craft and I love it and stuff, but I'm really open to learn about everything that's out there and build just a wealth of knowledge and make connections, networks, learn. So I also know this game's going to stop for me at some point, and I still want to stay involved with the game when I'm done, but maybe it's all in the app. Like the app's going really well, and I move into that space. So just trying to keep my options open and just keep learning and meet new people and think of different ways to think.
What effect would you love the app to have on the community?
For us, is one of our things is just trying to get everyone to move better and move well, and have access to all the programs that we have as professional athletes. So if we could get people out there with instant access, if you hurt yourself or you just want to do daily mobility or you want to do Pilates or whatever it is, because the gym scene sort of exploded here. There's Pilates everywhere and all this sort of stuff. We just want to put it all in a one-stop shop, and hopefully it helps people move and feel better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's take a quick pause.
Yeah.
Should we try and check? Do you reckon?
I don't know. Who was it?
CEO.
Was it?
Yeah. They might have like sponsors and shit.
Yeah.
I'll just go check.
Say Wiz said we could come up here.
Yeah. I'll say we'll be like, how long do you reckon we'll be?
Not long.
No, like 20, 30?
Well, they're not there. There's a few suits getting around.
Maybe continue on while Tommy's gone.
Yeah, we can continue on.
Yeah.
In case we get the old
It's time to come back. Yeah.
I think it's really cool, Scott, in that kind of helping or trying to move yourself more efficiently and in better ways has kind of been your driving force, and making yourself better as an athlete and a person. So I think it's now almost full circle, and it's a really cool shift of now you're trying to do that for others.
Yeah.
And back to that selfish chat, there's probably a time where you have to be really selfish to get all that knowledge and understanding yourself, and now it's a cool part of your journey where you can sit back and be like, I've learned this, and now you guys can
no doubt, like 6 or 7 years ago, if it had been proposed to me to do it, I'd have just been like, no way. Like I don't want people to know what I do or the things that I do. Like that's my trade secret and my advantage on people. But like the amount of times, and like Tommy, you'd be the same, like if someone hurts themselves, they'll ring me, like a mate or family friend or whatever. It's like, oh, such and such hurt his knee. Like, what did you do? Or he hurt his ankle. What did you do? Like, being able to put all that in one place for people, I think is really cool. And some of the feedback we've got like a community chat on Facebook as well, and just people like, oh, thanks. Like this mobility really helped with my back, or my brother-in-law who's part of it as well, an osteo, like, oh, that program for my neck like really fixed me. Like, thanks so much. Like, cause I understand like the general population can't just, oh, I hurt my neck this morning, I'm getting into the osteo this afternoon, like we can. So it's been really good so far, and looking forward to seeing where it ends up.
Moving into leadership, obviously you're the captain of the football club for the longest of time, and now you're moving out of that. Like, how's that transition been for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty seamless, I think, because it was thought about. It wasn't like sort of a real sudden, oh, I'm done. When Fly first started here, he sort of said it's up to me what I wanted to do, and I sort of thought that the club had gone through like a lot of change in 12 months, and it'd be good for the players to sort of have me as captain for one more year. And at that stage, it was sort of open, like captain for 1, 2, whatever it may be. But after last year, just thought like the program's in a really good space, the team's in a great space, and Darcy's, going to be an exceptional leader of this club. And with my life as well, with kids going to school and stuff like that, I thought it'd just be a really good time to hand over. And for Darcy as well to, I don't know if he likes it or not, but I'm still here if he needs any help or any questions. And I think it's been a good transition so far, and I think it's been the right call.
Would you say you've always been a born leader, or was that something you've also worked at a lot?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good question. Like a born leader, I don't know what that sort of.
What is that?
I don't know. Like I've always just been like passionate about sport. Like when I played basketball, like willing to learn. But I think like it's sort of like the big difference is, like I think I was almost like because of the love of the game I've got of footy and basketball. Like I'm a natural thinker on the field, or like when I play basketball on the court, like that leadership's probably natural to me. Just being able to help people and like, you need to be here or whatever it is. But then I think you'll learn a lot about off the field, like how to manage players, manage relationships, communicate with staff, like that, speak at functions, all that sort of stuff is definitely learnt in this environment. Like captain of Collingwood's a big club. There's a lot of people you've got to talk to.
A lot of responsibility.
Yeah, a lot of meetings that you have to sit into, if like players muck up and things like that. Like you're sitting in meetings with like, Eddie Maguire, president and the CEO, and they're talking about like sacking a guy, and you're sitting there as a 23-year-old from Sale. Like, I don't know, like you're talking about sacking a guy, and they ask you for your opinion, or, if like what coaching decisions and stuff like that, like which way or selection, and you learn very quickly that you sort of got to wear many hats. So, I think on the field, I'd probably be say like a more like just that'd probably be more natural to me than off the field, but off the field I've had to learn a lot more.
Yeah, I think like my experience would be like when you say born leader, obviously, it's obviously hard to sort of quantify that, but it's almost like, as you said, like his love for the game, and it's like you love to learn, and then your want and your desire and your will to help others learn and like bring a lot other people with you. I'd say like that's how I'd describe his leadership, sort of having, I guess, been able to be a part of it. You'll want to learn and you'll want to help others to learn. This would probably be the way I'd describe it.
I think that on the field, like that sort of comes natural, like that. Like, so I understand the game, I understand how the coaches want to play. So then I'm just trying to speed up other guys to get to that understanding of their role and what they need to do. So I sort of understand from a team dynamics point of view, if they can get there pretty quickly, then like as a team, we're going to sing pretty well on the same page.
Yeah.
And I guess it's no different to like business. If it's all, everyone's aligned and communication's seamless, like it will go a lot quicker and a lot better. But as soon as there's any fractures, then there'll be breakdowns, things will happen, and one guy will go left when he should have turned right, all that sort of stuff. So just trying to speed that up with our team and get everyone on the same page. And because I've been part of teams that have been really good, and when everyone's on the same page, it's a beautiful game.
Was there a key moment, like a key learning or steep learning curve off the field for you, whether that was like a chat with a player, or is there anything that comes to mind?
Oh, it's probably just like when I first started as captain, just those chats with players, like the hard conversations that you have to have for the first time. Like, because I was vice captain here at 20.
Fuck, that's young.
And but you didn't have to have those chats because Maxi would do it. But you could sit back and have the chats as a leadership group. Oh, someone needs to go talk to player X. And you could have all the greatest things. And you'd be like, just tell him this, Maxi, like it'd be sweet, go down well. But then Maxi had to go into the room and have that. And then when it was me that had to go have those chats, like, it was like a lot of small talk at first. Oh, how you going, mate? Like, so, and it's like, anyway, like you chew up like 5 or 6 minutes just trying to get to the point. But in the end, I like did some work on it and stuff, and emotionally just trying to get to there, if I just come to you and I was like, mate, this is a really hard conversation to have, like, and I don't really want to have this, but I think we've hit the point that sort of emotionally connect, and they understand that it's hard for you as well, and it's going to be hard for them to hear it.
Right.
It's also hard for you to have to deliver this sort of stuff. So I found that sort of approach helped me a lot to actually say, like, this isn't easy for me. Like I'm not just coming in here ruthless and just being like, hey mate, like you're done. Like grab your shit, get out. Like it's like, hey mate, this is really hard. Like we need you to pull in here, and like you're going to miss the next 2 games until you can get this going or whatever it is. Those chats were hard, but equally on the other side is those conversations when guys are flying or you've put in some work with some players and you see them going really well. Like that's just as rewarding. Yeah.
I mean, with all the years you've been here, you would have seen the full spectrum of personalities. Like I can only imagine what reactions you would have had.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because everyone gets here on like a level of talent that they've got in a football club, but like firmly believe the people that make it are the ones with the best characters and like they work hard and make it too doesn't mean like they play 300 games and blah, blah, blah. So they got the best out of themselves and they can walk away like happy. Like, because there's guys that might have played 200 games that probably should have played 3.
Yeah.
But there's guys also that have played 150 that probably should have only played 30. Like, so the good characters make great football clubs and makes it a place, like at the moment our team's full of like just great people, and when you come in here, win or lose, like it's just great to be here, that you're not dealing with any people who think they're bigger than the group or anything like that. Everyone feels really valued, and it's just a lot of cool people. We enjoy each other's company, and it makes it easy to go have fun together.
That's like that all translates to business as well.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have big personalities and you can just communicate effectively, and predictability, I'd say, is a massive thing, especially on field, right?
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get out of someone.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just the whole character thing. Like if I can look to my left and look to my right and know that I trust you because I know you've done the work and you're not going to try and shortcut it, or I know that you're not going out there today thinking you need to be the man. Because it's like, oh, someone's going to have to pick up the slack because if you fail at this, then your confidence is going to be so low. It's like, if you all just put your egos out the door. Obviously, everyone that plays sport's got a healthy ego and a healthy confidence, but you've got to put that aside for the team. And as you said, like business would be no different. Like everyone needs to buy into the common goal of what the business is trying to achieve. It's not, for you guys, like with colour plane, it's not like once you get to that end point, like Tommy's then going to try and slip in and become the face and male model, take over everything.
We'll see what happens.
Does have a pretty face. So.
So, but that's why I think like business can learn a lot from footy, and footy can learn a lot from business in terms of how like all those channels of communication and character and people involved makes them work.
I'd love to diverge off that. So you obviously spoke a lot about business, and you've got a few ventures in the works at the moment, and you've been active in the business space for quite some time, and obviously you've spent 18 years playing AFL football. So football's been your life, kind of forever.
So football is life,
right? Yeah, you spent half your life in the AFL system, which is a long time. I'd love to go into your identity a little bit, and obviously AFL players and athletes, speaking more generally, get pigeonholed into just being an athlete. I was wondering, obviously playing 18 years of AFL football, you're going to be not pigeonholed, but kind of wrapped in this athlete, as a person.
Yeah.
I was wondering maybe how that sits with you, and whether you want to change that.
No, I'm happy. Like I know that I'll forever be tied. Like part of me is always going to be Scott Pendlebury, the footballer. Like I've played 18 years. I've been here over half my life. Like, so I'm happy for that to be part of my story, but I'd like to sit back in 20 years and let's hope like it's not, this guy was just a gun football player. I think it's, as I said, like earlier, as like I've got like a close network of people outside that know me outside of football, and I'm not looking to have like 30 people. Like I've time poor as it is. So like I love like my mates that are close with me. Those that know me really well, like I love a nice glass of red here and there, love my food and cafes, like that sort of stuff. And like the football for me is, I love it, but I don't think, when it's all said and done, like I'll put a bow on my Collingwood chapter as a player and then look to move on. I've spoken openly about like sort of coaching ambitions, and to me that doesn't have to be here at the football club. Like I sort of feel like if I want to get into coaching, it's almost go back in the draft and you'll end up, whether it be like Gold Coast or GWS, like I'm happy for that next journey and chapter.
Process.
And just get to work on whatever that next phase is. And I think most importantly, like for me, like my identity is not tied to here. Like I don't feel like, if I was to retire at the end of this year, I don't feel like I'd be like, oh my God, I need Collingwood. Like I need to get back there. Like yeah, I don't know, what is it, like the, I say, like when you've been in the industry for so long, you sort of get like,
Right.
I don't know, whatever that word is
Yeah.
I'm looking for,
So
but
you'd be more lost like outside.
yeah. So
know what
yeah,
you're
I
saying.
think like, yeah, I'm happy to be known as, had a great career at Collingwood, but yeah, after that, we'll see where it goes.
Do you feel like lots of guys struggle with that?
I think it depends how well they're setting themselves up for life after footy and what they want to do. Because like I guess it's hard because I'm doing what I wanted to do, so it's like, and I've been lucky enough to play for 18 years, but I'm still doing what I want to do. So I'm still like heavily invested in trying to make, play for another 2 or 3 years if I can. Like instead of just being, I'm 35, I probably should one more year. It's like, well, how much more can I get out of myself? Like, let's find some avenues. So I'm still heavily invested in that. And then, I'm sure when I retire, like there'll be that part that you miss. Like when I see the boys run out when I'm not there, it's like, oh, that's the feeling that you're never going to replace. But I know that, like, and I'm not, I don't know, it's probably easy to say because I'm in it, but it's like, I won't be searching to try and fill that void. And there's some things I want to do after footy, like there's marathons I want to run. I want to get my black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, it's just things like that. I've got like little things that I wouldn't mind ticking off along the way.
As of last week, you come up with that jiu-jitsu goal.
I've got last week. But yeah, I've got like Tommy would know, but I love sort of boxing and martial arts. And so there's things like in that space that I wouldn't mind doing. And so see how I go before the body completely breaks.
From someone that's achieved so much in AFL, how do you come back every year, refreshed and ready to go again?
I think it's like what we spoke about earlier, just the process. Like, I remember even just in like COVID, like me and Tommy just going down to like Elsternwick, spend like 2 hours down there just training. It wasn't like, oh, let's get back. And like, you're doing it because you were getting fit and that, but it's just like fun for me. Like 2 guys on an oval and it's wet, and just getting after it, like doing 10 or 12 Ks and competing and running. And, one week Tommy would come down and he's like, oh, I want to do like 10 400s on the minute or every 2 minutes. It's like, oh God, like, this is going to kill me. It's like, all right, let's do it. Or whatever it is. It's just like that. Yeah. Just keep getting after it. And I enjoy it. And, I think that's like when people say like, oh, when do you think, you'll know that time's up? It's like, oh, I think for me, like clear indication is when the season finishes. If I don't have that itch 2 weeks later to get back to it, like I've always, season finishes and I always say, I'm going to take a month off, let my body recover. And it's like 10 days later, like we'll be texting. And it's like, hey, do you want to play one-on-one? Start playing one-on-one. It's like, hey, you want to go for a run tomorrow? Do you want to lift tomorrow? It's like, before you know it, you've like 7 days a week, you're going back at it. And you're just like, and that's when I'm at, the most peace and happiest is when I'm playing, competing, training. It's like peace for me.
I guess when you sort of like done it for 18 years, as Jack said, but even longer than that, really, like, pretty much started playing, sport when you're 10 or 12. And like when you do it, you add that all up, that's probably 20, 25 years of work. That just becomes like habitual and routine and becomes a part of who you are.
Scott, you're definitely in love with the process, but do you just stay within that love and let the results look after themselves, or do you make sure you have clear goals?
I probably let the results just take care of themselves, but I've got like goals, like even like on the weekend, just got like a diary. It's like a couple of focuses for the game that I'll write in like the day of the game. I'll like look back just before the game starts, and then I'll write them back in again just before the game starts as well, just so I'm across them. But they're all sort of process-based goals. For example, it's like transition quick and early, like, and then I'll just say that over to myself, and then it's just like, a few other things that I do. But then, like, I feel like I've done the work throughout the week with how I've set it up. That game day, I've given myself the best chance, and then what will be. Like, I've done the work. Whether that's you go out there and you don't play very well, but I still run my patterns. I contributed on defense. I did all this. It's like, then put your head on the pillow and you're fine.
I'm really fascinated because I think sometimes you can get so caught up in the result that you almost forget the process and or neglect it. But like, I feel when you are in love with the process, those results just kind of flow.
Yeah. Well, I think I've lived in that space for like as long as I think early days, like second or third year, I got caught up a little bit in like having to start well. I was always like, I want to start the game well. I want to get like my hands on the ball early. 7 or 8 touches in the first quarter, like just so I'm in. It's like, well, what happens if that doesn't happen?
Yeah.
What happens if you get 3? What is that the day done for you? Like, you've still got 3/4 of the game left.
Yeah.
And I think it was like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan spoke about, like, just if you got like 6 points a quarter, like over 4 quarters, there's 24 points.
It's
That's pretty
game.
good. Like, what happens then 1 quarter you explode and you have, 12 or 14, and then there's 34 points. It's like, so my thing was always just like try and get like 4 or 5 involvements a quarter. Like, so then I've had 20 involvements in a game. That might be 10 possessions, 10 tackles, but like get involvements in a game. So, I found now like it's completely different. It's like early on in games, just like try and hit a body, get a tackle, like just get physically in the game, and then, and then get those involvements. So, like when I look back at a game, it's sort of like I sort of base my stuff on like score involvements and defensive acts. So it's not so much because AFL has become a lot about like, oh, you got 35 or 36 possessions. Like a lot of it's just junk. It's like how many score involvements did you have where it like impacts your team scoring, and then defensively how'd you help limit their scoring. So that's sort of how I look at my stuff now.
I think a really clear pattern that I'm seeing is you kind of carry these certain principles, whether it's in footy or life or business, that I think are holding you in a really good stead in terms of the long term, which is, process driven. You're only exploring things that you love and that you're super passionate about. It's not for money or for ego or for anything else. And that's what, leading into Temple, I think it's, exciting to see where you can take that. And you've obviously put in the work, and 4 years is a long time to be building an app. So it's not like you've just cut short, found shortcuts and got it to market as soon as possible. And
probably even in the last like 12 months, we had a few chances to get it to market. And I sort of laugh at it because like we're so keen to, but it just wasn't ready, or we weren't. Like it was 99.5%, but we're just like the 0.5% wasn't good enough yet. And we're like, nah, we need this to be better. It needs to be this. Like it has to be, do it again. Like do it again, do it again. Like let's get this right, because once it's right, I feel like it will just flow. Sort of like, your process leading into a game. If it's right and you're happy with it, like the outcomes will look after themselves, and you can put your head on the pillow happy. And I've got some great like business mentors as well that talk about. It made me think of Jace, a guy that I look up to a lot. He's always said, like, if you love it, go for it. But if you don't love it, you've really got to be considered about if you want to put your time and money and energy into that, because business is a long-term thing. And if you don't love it, it's going to be hard to have that passion. He's like, you might be passionate for a year, you might be passionate for 6 months, but when that passion goes, you don't love it. Like what are you going to do? So sort of good advice I got from him early days about go after things that you love.
We're massive on mentors because I think, and it sounds like you've just described that, like they can just cut through on so much because they've been through the whole journey. Yeah. Is there any other things Jace has sort of taught you along the way?
I think that a great thing about having like for me, Jace, who I can bounce things off, is that he's seen a lot of it before and he understands, and he can just sort of straighten you up a bit. And so, any questions I've got or whatever, I've just got a guy I can turn to and ring. And, we've also got some great people at our footy club as well on the board, or, coaches or admin about anything where it's like, oh, I'm experiencing this. Sort of they almost laugh always. Oh, yeah, like I remember doing that in like 96 or whatever. And it's like sort of great to just know other people have been through that, and they can talk you through why. And, oh, it's a really good idea now, mate, but what do you think in 12 months' time? Like me and Alex, when we built a house in Elwood, we designed it, and at the time when we're going through design phase, they're like, I think about sort of kids, and we sort of looked at each other and we're like 25, like, that's not going to happen, like any foreseeable future. And then all of a sudden we've got kids in the house, and we're like, oh, we probably should have listened to the people that said, like, think about kids, blah, blah, blah. And it's just little things that you learn along the way that hold you in good stead. And I'm a big advocate for mentors, even with footy. Like Paul Licura helped me so much in my first few years understand how to get the best out of yourself and how to train properly and how to manage yourself. And it's funny, he's now like a board member here, and we always have a laugh about some of the sessions we did. But it's great to, because those guys know what it takes to be successful and whatever. And if you can fast track that or get some help along the way, you mightn't have to pay for as many mistakes that you might make.
100%.
What legacy do you want to leave behind at the Collingwood Football Club?
Oh, topical question at the moment, isn't it? Legacy at the football club.
Is it?
Yeah. Big theme for our head coach.
Yeah.
Legacy.
We're like a little
inner sanctum.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can feel it.
Yeah.
Inside the four walls.
Oh, like what legacy? Like people just said like I was authentic, genuine, and I just gave it everything I had, I'd be happy with that. Like, there was no intention when I come here to be like, I want to be a 350 game player, or I want to do all this. It's like, I just want to try and get the best out of myself. And that's, if my legacy is that he got his best out of himself, well then I'll be happy with that.
It's funny you say like that keyword authenticity, because like when I met you at a gym, I was like to Tom afterwards, I'm like, you were just like the most like, yeah, you're like, I was watching the NBA and what do you think about the NBL? And like, what do you reckon about like one-on-one? And you're just chatting away. And I'm like, you know, I think that authentic self just comes straight out of you. Like you're not picking and choosing or holding back or putting on personas. You're just like yourself. So
yeah, I think a lot of people will get, when they meet like a footballer and it's like stuff you have to learn as you go through and you become in the public eye. But yeah, a lot of people, like I know when I meet them, they're sort of like, wonder how this guy's going to be. Like, is he going to be like really like stiff, or is he? And it's like, I just am who I am, and it's like I'll just be that person, and then you guys can figure out for yourself if you like that person or not. Because like I'm not going to be like, oh, g'day mate, like Scott Pendlebury, captain of the Collingwood Football Club. That's just not who I am. And I'm not going to talk about, oh mate, did you see the game last night? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, like I love other things as well, and I'll chew the fat about all that sort of stuff.
Of course, that's awesome.
It's important. Well, thank you. That's a great place to wrap it up, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Extremely excited to follow Temple and that journey and life after football when that does happen for you. And big fans. We might be Collingwood supporters now. Maybe
It's a big call.
We'll see how we go. Yeah,
I will,
if Tommy didn't get me over the line, maybe Scott gets me close. I don't know.
I don't know. Jack's already jumped post footy, but yeah, I think, you know, what you're doing right now, and you know, you're definitely 3 votes on the weekend, and you're nearing, I'll put it in there, but you're nearing 35. Like it's pretty.
I'm already 35.
You're already 35.
36.
There we go.
You're nearing 36. Like, you know, it's pretty LeBron-esque in a way. I'm serious. Like, you know, like I think a lot of people will just be, especially, you know, if it continues to happen, which I think it definitely will. People are going to be asking, like, it's unprecedented, really.
Well, hopefully you can keep going.
This is where we've got to download this app and figure out.
This is the perfect
Find
plug
the
for Temple.
secrets.
See where it goes.
That's it.
Oh,
Not
no
the secret
better
recipe. It's all out there.
Yeah.
Temple
the
up.
secret sauce is there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Enjoyed it.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks,
Appreciate it, man.